All right, folks, look to my left, your right, my left. We have a special guest in the building today. A few others joining us on Zoom and in studio. Patrick Ballman, pan to those folks now. It's going to be a fun episode talking about everything from old MLW stories, old childhood stories of this neighborhood legend as well. Coaching youth sports, the wiffle ball behind the scenes, field setup, scorekeeping, rule changes, just all kinds of fun stuff. So great episode. Enjoy it. This is the Pipe It Up podcast, and cue the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up podcast, the official podcast of MLW Wiffle Ball. I got a smile on my face today. We have a special guest in the building. Mr. Mark Schultz is joining us in the captain's seat over there.
Hello.
Former chair of Jack Agner, who is joining us virtually, Dad Agner. And we also have Kyle Schultz in studio today in the guest chair. We wanted to give Mr. Schultz co-host chair honors.
Rightfully so.
He earned it.
This is a big one. I can't believe this is only the second time that we've had my dad on the show.
Yeah, maybe
over 250 of these?
Yeah, we declared last week I'm a bad manager. Maybe I'm also a bad pod host, but
it was episode 50.
Yeah, he was on. So he was on for the 50th special.
Yes, that was a big deal back then.
What was that? The 2020 summer?
21.
21? Wow.
Because I think I took it over in the spring of 21.
Okay.
Dang. I was around like mid-30s at that time.
4 years later, he's back.
4 years and almost 200 episodes. 200 weeks of this thing.
So much has changed. I can't wait to hear about it.
That's actually crazy. Jack, how are we doing today? Thanks for joining us.
Doing good. Thanks for asking, Tom. I gotta say, it's been great having Kyle on a lot of these podcasts, keeping my chair warm for me. But I do have to say, I don't think there's a greater honor than to have Mark sitting in that chair right now. So, although I am virtual, I do feel your presence, Mark.
Good. Thanks, Jack. Based on your comments of last week, looking for a Game of Thrones introduction.
Oh,
and no one really responded to you. It was crickets.
Yeah, that's my dad's show.
I have one for you. Are you ready? This is
excellent. Yes.
We're getting ready. Okay. Jack Agner, first of his name, Prince of Podcasters, Duke of Waffle House, father of the precious one, keeper of the house that needs a fixin', and captain of the Bangarang squad.
Oh my God. That deserves a round of applause.
What a start.
That is excellent. I need that on a t-shirt, like stat.
Get it up.
That's awesome.
Limited quantity. Yeah. On sale Thursday.
Thank you, Mark.
There you go.
I'm glad one person out there, one listener knew what I was talking about.
One person.
I'm sure more than
me and Tommy are uncultured, but that's my dad's show right there.
Yeah, I've recently been informed that I'm uncultured when it comes to a lot of TV shows. I just watch too much Office, Jack. It's all I watch is Office. It's on loop. It's on repeat. That's all I watch. But no, Jack, I knew we were in for a treat today because Mr. Schultz did walk in with a set of handwritten notes, which you know is always going to be good. And Mr. Schultz, Jack made a comment about how, are you ready for the hardest interview of your life? What do you think the last interview you had was, besides like our interview?
Work.
Yeah, job interviews.
But how long ago was that, you think?
Probably a year ago. They wanted to know if I was familiar with a certain technology, and I had to scramble back and look at some of the technology that I used 20 years ago. So I got the job.
Okay. Do our viewers know what he does?
Maybe
Did we describe that?
Maybe he should describe that to everybody.
Let's hear.
Yeah.
You're not doing MLW.
Yes.
What is your desk job?
One of the most frequent questions I get at the tent is, are you retired? And I am not retired. I've been working for over 35 years. IT program manager. So I work for one company, but our clients will have major IT projects, data centers, switches, routers, computers, mainframes, applications that they need something done.
A lot of jargon in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you worked remote before working remote was cool.
He did.
That's right. From about 2013, I started working remote and would go to Iowa every now and then, Cedar Rapids. But even that fizzled out. So when the pandemic came, most people came into the house. Pretty much I saw it as people hogging my Wi-Fi that I was so used to having at home. very quiet. But I've been working out of the house now for the last.
And guys, the
12 months.
amount of times that Tommy and even Rachel would come over and we'd play like all these games in the living room, and my dad's trying to work in the den, like during the day, throughout our summers too. I'm like, thanks for putting up with that because you didn't have to. But yeah, it's cool to hear the story.
I've made that comment before, and this is terrible to say, and I'm sure I'll grow out of it once I do have children of my own. But like, this is a good example, like having kids that are being noisy when you're working, or your kids are so involved. Like, Kyle, this applies to me and you, Jack. You too. You played so many sports growing up, but like, imagine working hard all week to provide for your family and having to get out of bed at like 5:30 on a Saturday to take your kid to a basketball tournament game. Like, can you imagine anything worse as a 45-year-old man? Like, it's the last thing I'm gonna want to do. God.
I don't know, man. Mark's a guy that I feel like, that stuff. Just he likes that stuff. He appreciates that
I'm usually
stuff.
the one coaching, so I've got a lot on my mind as well.
You're ready to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Get after
I'm
it.
ready. Yeah, I'm ready. That's
Can
exactly.
we go down your coaching resume? Again, I don't know if we did this 4 years ago, but it'd be a good refresher. So you started out, let me just lead it off here, but you were our recreational soccer coach with me and Tommy's Falcons dynasty team.
Dynasty.
Like, if there was a youth sports hall of fame, you'd be in it for coaching that squad. So I think, was that the first time you ever coached one of us?
Well, youth soccer, youth t-ball.
Okay, there we go.
I remember you did the, how Kyle does his diving catch on the field. Kyle did that on.
Yeah, I did that.
The T-ball field.
T-ball, T-ball field. They're calling him Jabba Chamberlain. So yes, rec soccer, rec baseball, rec basketball,
Mm-hmm.
and then Brendan was busy with scouts as well
Mm-hmm.
and band. But then that progressed into travel basketball. So
I believe you have a championship under your belt with Daniel there
yes,
in an actual travel league, which is impressive.
yes. So fourth grade, when Daniel was in fourth grade, you were probably in seventh, I think, at that time.
Yep.
Fourth grade basketball. I'm probably one of the only coaches that has a Big Cat championship basketball. We won the tournament.
This is the name of our league in Southeast Michigan.
Correct. We won the fourth grade championship. Still remember the final plays. We were down, and Matty John stole the ball, and we kept inbounding it. They'd foul and foul.
Other MLW players on that team: Zach Whalen. Anybody else, or was Zach not even on the team yet?
Zach was on. Clayton Price.
Okay, there we go. Of course,
I think that's it.
that might be it. That's a pretty good way to start the career, though.
The
Coaching.
Falcons were a dynasty.
Dude, the Falcons. We had a fire up Falcons chant. Tommy was always the right wing. I was center mid.
No,
We
we didn't align forces till we were probably like,
When I tell you guys we were a dynasty, though,
I don't know, maybe when like 7 or 8. When do you think we started playing together? Because
we
played in the
definitely
same-
went way harder. Like, we took it so serious, even though it was a rec league.
rec league. But
Talk about your preparation before a game. Like, when you're laying out lineups, what was your routine? If you can think back to
For
that.
soccer.
Yeah,
Okay.
every sport's
because this is like your
So I would try
prime.
to maximize your line with, like the
juice the line.
with the one time you had Ryan Gable and you had
Oh yeah, there's a
That
name.
was elite.
Yeah.
That was elite because he was a lefty.
Yeah.
the left.
Left
So I kind of
footed.
maximize your guys on the field.
Yeah.
So I would go through like, okay, well, Kyle's playing with one person. I got all three of them. So I would maximize, your time.
Like a power play.
Because Kyle was really good. Exactly. Kyle was really good.
Yeah, guys, that's actually my best sport, and I never pursued it. I don't know why.
Yeah, it was. I would jump out there and practice against the guys, and it was terrifying. Kyle coming 1-on-1 downhill at you, trying to stop him. He would just have the ball on his foot like a string. It would be pretty incredible. But so I would spend quite a few minutes at work back when I would be driving in, trying to figure out the optimal situation, and then you got to figure out who can run out there, who can run 6 minutes out there without needing a break and come off the field.
There's one kid that we had somewhat of a rivalry with. Like, we wouldn't lose to a lot of teams, but this kid actually played in MLW for like a year or two. Do you remember who it is,
I
Tom?
don't know.
They maybe beat us like 1 or 2 times over the course of 2-3 years, but he was really good baseball player too. Lefty pitcher in baseball, but I think also lefty in soccer.
Lefty pitcher in baseball.
Oh, I know what you mean.
I don't know. Who is it?
Cameron Beaton.
Oh, yes.
They had
MLW.
He was good. So like,
of course, there was a couple studs.
guys, everybody in Brighton played in this rec soccer league as like a second grader up to like seventh
Yeah,
grade.
like 8 years old.
It was the place to be, not travel soccer. It was literally this rec soccer league.
Jack, did you play any soccer growing up?
I definitely did. I do remember my parents kind of being like, "Yeah, I don't think soccer's gonna work for you." When I just wouldn't stop like actually physically tackling kids, like not like slide tackling them. I was they were ahead of me with the ball, and I was physically tackling them. So I think that's when my parents were like, "We're just gonna put you in football." But I did have a brief Selkra soccer stint, so I am familiar with what you guys are talking about.
I think everyone in Brighton could at least.
You need to have at least 1 year.
Everyone tried it at some point. Some played longer than others. I think me and you played till like 7th grade.
Yeah.
The injury took me out, ruined the dynasty.
Dude, it literally did.
Yeah, I remember that.
To this day, we don't know what happened to Tommy. But he was sidelined on crutches for like a year and a half. 7th grade, I feel like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We eventually graduated to travel baseball, where I took Kyle and we basically created our own team, Brighton Orange. And we took Kyle's team all the way to Cooperstown.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Yep.
And then then we had a great opportunity to join the Michigan Mustangs, and I, volunteered to help out any way I can. Turned out I then became the scorekeeper, then bench coach.
Yeah, so that might be the birth of where he's at now with MLW.
I would do defensive alignments. I would just be in my glory, and Kyle had a very, very good team and won quite a few tournaments.
How long have you been keeping score at like Tigers games? Like getting a scorecard for $2 at the front.
So imagine trying to like 8 years old, 9 years old, trying to keep track of an all-star game where there's substitutions like crazy. I remember doing that as a kid, 8, 9, 10 years old, trying to keep handwritten, the actual all-star game where there's guys coming in. Oh, Dave Parker's in right field. No, I didn't know that. You'd write that down.
Yeah,
I can picture a 10-year-old Daniel doing the same thing or trying to.
Well, yeah, I mean, you didn't have ESPN Gamecast or all this type of stuff. You probably just had newspaper clippings.
So the Sunday paper would come out and would list every player and all their batting.
Yeah, I would have totally just cut those out and collected them.
And you would just go through and like, I didn't know Richie Ziska had a 280 average. You had no idea. You would listen to Saturday was Mel Allen's This Week in Baseball. So it would be Twib notes, and he would just show you. And this guy, Pete Rose, wow, he's diving into third. I never saw that before. It'd just be electrifying because you'd only see it once a week. You'd be lucky.
I don't, Jack, we prepared a lot of questions, but I feel like I have a whole new slew of questions that I want to ask. How you feeling?
We can take this interview anywhere we want.
We really
go ahead. If you got questions, building off what they're talking about, shoot for them, Tom.
I mean, I'll shoot next, but then I want you to get a shot up. I don't want to box you out because you're joining us virtually here.
Let me finish up with the travel. So it was Kyle, but then Kyle's team broke up and he was going off to high school. I went back and joined Bill Price, Clayton's father. And at this point, I had been a manager. I had no intentions to be the guy handling the schedules and the parents and the
That's where you want to be. You don't want to deal with all the parents scheduling.
My time was in the batting cage, and Bill Love said, we have one voice. Instead of 4 coaches telling you, do this. It was me with, the Neil Smiths and the Clayton Prices and Daniels working
Neil
on
Smiths don't grow on trees, man.
Yeah. And Neil had the hockey swing every time he'd come back into the cage, after his hockey season. So it was good to have just one voice, and Bill could do his thing and I could do my thing. And that just was very rewarding.
I think we should start like the Brighton Youth Sports Hall of Fame. That's my project.
You could start it.
When I'm
like the Chamber of Commerce.
I'm too busy now. I'm not even kidding. Like when I'm retired, I'm going to retroactively like work back and figure out who the Hall of Famers are going to be. Yeah.
Some of them are going to be dead.
But we're going to need to like network, see
go
who
like grandfathers. Yeah.
We're going to have to find some email lists from Selkra. I got to track down these records and teams. And they didn't even like post standings. That was all us. And like we would ask around the other coaches who won their games in the league. They wouldn't post it anywhere. It's a rec league. So like we kept standings like ourselves.
Huh, I guess I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Forget about it.
I don't remember a lot of stuff. No, Jack, what I was going to ask, now I'm just curious. You were talking about like the newspaper batting averages and the things, keeping track, how hard it was. I don't know. I'm going to sound like an old man here, Kyle. Maybe help me out. But I think now the term people use when we're bored in our generation is like doom scrolling on your phone. Like just on TikTok or Instagram, just wasting time.
I just heard that the other day.
Yeah, I heard that for the first time like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's just a reaction. Like you're just going through, you're not even thinking about the time that's passing.
Yeah, you're just wasting time.
Okay.
Doing nothing. But like what would you do back in the day? Like when you were maybe late teens, early 20s to kill time? Like what would you do? What was your favorite hobbies, ways to kill time, have fun?
Yeah, I would say preteens, I guess, would be watch reruns of television shows that I've seen, Gilligan's Island and MASH, those type of shows, just over and over again, type of thing. Just Batman. So a lot of TV reruns. We didn't have cell phones and texting. I would have loved to have text my friends, hey, let's get a game together. You guys just kind of take that for granted right now, but I would have just loved to have that instant communication as opposed to waiting for my friend to drive by and say, hey, come on, let's go get something together.
Ride a bike over somewhere, maybe.
Exactly.
We should talk about your wiffle ball pass as well. Makeshift field in the front yard. You and your boy Kevin.
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes.
I never heard of Kevin.
Oh yeah.
Kevin,
next door neighbor, right? Or two houses down.
2 down. Kevin had an older brother, older sister, and I had an older sister. But so we would play every day. We would play wiffle ball. We never played a wiffle ball as a team event. I don't know why. It was really just one-on-one.
That's how I played at first too. My uncle.
Yeah, probably just not enough kids in the neighborhood.
One-on-one.
I guess we played Hank Aaron. Kevin learned this from Hank Aaron. Is you would throw up a bottle cap and then hit the bottle cap with a very thin bat. So it learned hand-eye coordination, timing. So we did that a lot. We would play in the street a lot. Curveball. Got you to play curveball in front of my old parents' house.
This is in Warren, Michigan, by the way, guys, which is like right outside Detroit.
Right.
Like actually, you could say you're from Detroit if you're from Warren.
Yeah, you're close enough.
Yeah.
It's like 2 miles from Eminem's house. We had all kind of football, basketball. We would play them all. And I remember my dad told me when I was 8, okay, Mark, I signed you up for a baseball. And I'm like, well, what ball? Because I had been playing tennis ball, rubber coated ball, wiffle ball. I didn't know what. Like he's like hardball. Oh, okay. I had no idea.
I like your generation too, because when you played in those rec leagues or travel leagues too, everybody had an MLB team name, and you got the whole jersey, the hats too, and everything. I thought that was cool that we never really had. Every team just kind of had their own branding, like Brighton Bulldogs, Michigan Mustangs, but they were just like, yeah, we're the Cardinals this year. We're the Padres. That's so cool.
That's right. We have full uniforms. I played church league for the first 3 years, and we actually had tryouts at Macomb Community College. Here I'm 11 years old and I'm tracking fly balls and all the coaches are writing stuff down. I got drafted pretty high.
That's sick.
And I went to the Rangers and
Josh.
we just destroyed, like our first game, I think we won like 32-5. We had guys that were like twice the size of me and like, oh my gosh, we were so good. We were very good. We won the city championship that year.
Before your next question, fast forward to Cousino High School. How far did you guys go in the state playoffs?
So my junior year, we made it all the way to the state semifinals.
Oh, that's sweet. I didn't know that.
I think, was it Preston Coleman was the same way? His team made it to the same.
Is that Class B, Division II? What do you call it?
We're Division One.
Yeah. Wow.
Division One, Warren Cousino. We had some very good pitchers. I was really the utility infielder. I wasn't like yourself and Daniel who could play outfield. I wasn't really much in out. They put me in outfielder. I was lost. I had been playing infield solely for so long.
Infield's where it's at.
Yeah. So we got that far. I got to pinch run in that game. And as I came off the field, I remember walking across the third base line thinking, that's probably it. That's probably it. And sure enough, I didn't make the team the next year. They kept the younger shortstop kid, and me and my other friend were left off. And so that was the end. So then I went to softball for 10 years. Yeah. And I tried playing shortstop and I'm like, this is so bad. As soon as you leave your feet, guys it. So I went to the outfield. I just loved it. I played outfield for 10 years, diving,
that's
throws.
That's a lost art in this country is adult softball. You just don't see it too much in our gen.
No, you do.
Maybe I don't look hard.
Those guys play. I'm against it.
Okay, you're right, but why is it not as popular? It's like,
I don't know. I think it's pretty popular. I have a lot of different people I know that play. What do you think, Jack? I mean, what do you hear from people you like, high school buddies or college buddies? Anybody you know playing softball?
I definitely have some friends do it. I could tell you it sounds really fun. Other than, like Nick Saylor getting injured, that does not sound fun. And that would be me probably if I tried to do that. So I think I'm opting out of slow pitch softball.
I am too.
But it does definitely sound fun.
Wait, would you play on like a women's college softball sized field? Like what size field?
No way. Huge field.
Boy, yeah, we played all like Warren.
Like a baseball field?
That's like 300 feet fences. Probably.
So what about the bases? Softball. Is it like softball
baseball would be like the girls' bases, like the shorter
bases.
So it's like youth baseball size diamond.
Right. So I was very frustrating playing shortstop because you like dive.
You're getting hammered every
and
time at the
by the time you get
shortstop
up, the guy's
position.
already at the base. I'm like, this
is why I stopped. I did it one time, Michigan State.
Yeah, I remember
intramurals.
this. You told me about it.
Yeah,
You just get peppered.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was like the baseball guy. Supposed to be good, right?
Yeah,
and
go
playing
play shortstop.
shortstop on Munn Field in East Lansing, it's like I'm gonna die. Like people are hitting missiles.
Oh yeah, there's no groundskeeping team.
No, it's just grass.
Yeah.
No dirt. It's playing on grass. I
Worst
have my
tops.
baseball infield mitt. I'm like, I probably make one error a game, which I thought was pretty good. Like I'm getting missiles hit at me.
Didn't you, Dad, tear your ACL?
I have had 3 knee surgeries. So one time I think I was trying to, like Jack is saying, as your athletic ability kind of degrades, your energy to play is still very high. So trying to leg it out and get to first base and jam your leg into it. And I've had quite a few surgeries. One of my favorite softball stories is when I first started work. I wanted to join the work team. And so I kept peppering the guy, can I play in this week? You got a game this week? He's like, we really don't need any players. I've got like 23 players. It was a mixture of men and women. He's like, okay, just show up and we'll see what we can do. So I show up, I sit for 5 innings, and then I finally like, okay, Schultz, get out there, right field.
Why is he so serious about it? The
right
work
field.
team, 23 players.
Because it's so serious.
Because he's trying to play 23 players. And he's got too many players. So I don't even have a jersey, right there. Everyone's got uniforms, whatever. I'm out there in my shorts and t-shirt. So there's a person on first base, line drive to me in right field. Like I'm running in, make a shoestring catch, throw a dime to first base, double play, ends the inning. Next day, I walk into work. There's a uniform on my desk.
God,
That's pretty funny.
That's a lasting memory there.
That is cool.
that's awesome.
Oh,
You got to earn your stripes. You earned your stripes.
Pay to play.
Yeah, Mark, I wanted to kind of just transition a little bit to, you specifically as it relates to MLW. And you mentioned a couple things just kind of about your upbringing and like technology and, kind of what we have access to today that you didn't in the past. But you do have this background that sounds exactly like, what Kyle and Daniel did, right? Just growing up playing sports and Brendan and just figuring out, different ways to have fun. But I guess when Kyle and the rest of the guys started filming videos and putting them on the internet, I guess like what was your initial reaction to that? And then at what point did you kind of like become more involved to be, keeping the stats like every single game? Kind of how did that evolve?
Okay. Well, first of all, putting the games on the internet, I just thought it was for fun.
it was for fun.
I don't, there was no business model back at the day.
No.
I had no idea that people would watch it and there'd be advertising revenues. And I think the first time I saw like a Home Depot ad came on, I'm like, what is they're advertising on your game, So to me, it's been Kyle that really has been leading the way there. I just been, helping him with either a contract or an agreement or some decisions. He'll bounce ideas off of me, off of Daniel. But he's really takes the lead on that in terms of that technology, even the technology with the cameras and the microphones and the GoPros. I mean, it's just incredible that the technology that's available today, that didn't exist back in the day.
So at first it obviously, at first it is something fun, right? I could see that how it's just like, oh yeah, we're just putting these videos on. But at some point it does become, I mean, it's obviously still fun, but at some point it does get to that point where, all right, this is a little bit more than just like throwing up YouTube videos for fun. So I guess when was that first realization for you that like, oh, Kyle's doing something a little bit bigger here than just filming, some videos? Well,
you look back at the core, the five, the original five. It was basically
the original five.
He said that was funny.
It was just
the five. It's like
the original kids on the street, right? So it was just the local neighborhood team, and then it was the kids from school, their schools respectively, and then the teams that they were from, and then eventually, when like Jimmy and the kids from Livonia. Became the multi-community team, and then of course it started to grow with kids from driving in from Illinois and New York and Missouri and Ohio. So back to your question, I had no idea it would continue. I figured, well, Kyle, he'll go off to college and, kids will go their different ways and things will end. Well, they got bigger. Then I figured, well, okay, well, they'll get out of college and then they'll get jobs and then things will disappear. It got bigger some more, So every year it seems like Kyle and Tommy, they come up with a bigger challenge, and now you're seeing, SoFi Stadium, Mercedes-Benz, Texas Stadium. It's just unbelievable. So it keeps growing.
Yeah, it keeps growing. Those events too, I wanted to ask you, like, if you ever because you're pretty involved in the operation, and like I know, like, a lot of times we'll be in the hotel room the night before, and like Kyle will have like me and you and honestly just us three sometimes in a room, like going over the game plan a couple years ago. And like, do you ever feel nervous? You get the jitters the night before the big events?
The only time I feel nervous is, will I wake up for the early flight? Will there be traffic? And will we get through security in time? Once I'm through that and we're all at the airport, and then it's just a matter of getting on the plane. Because the worst is, we have a tournament on Saturday. We're supposed to set up on Friday. Well, if we're not there on Friday, things are going to be down to, it's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
So once we get past that,
Travel's big.
Travel's big. We had one case in, it was the Arizona tournament, I believe, with, I think Ryan and Greg booked a flight separately for some reason. Maybe they decided late to come.
Was that Boston or was that Arizona?
I think it was Arizona.
Oh, maybe.
I know where you're going with this, though. Proceed.
So
I don't know.
So the flight was really early. So I'm pretty sure
it had to be. It's probably Arizona.
6 a.m. flight. We got a very early flight. So we had to be there like 4:30, which means we had to leave our house at 3:30. It means we were up at 3. And we got up, made it out the door. We got to the airport and we're getting to security. And Kyle, I think was, I'm sorry, Kyle was texting Ryan or, where are you guys at? Where are you guys at? Well, little did we know that Greg also woke up at 3:00, but then just closed his eyes for a minute.
Just to rest his eyes.
Just to rest his eyes. And they wake up, I think it's 5:00, and they drove 95 miles an hour. Meanwhile, I'm talking to the people at the gate, trying to keep the gate open, and they come bustling through security.
They got in at the last second.
The last second. Greg was like, "Thank you for holding the flight," because they made it.
They were walking on that aisle just sweating.
Those two, father-son duo, 5 a.m., it was a terrible morning.
So we kind of like said we'd have a you and Greg podcast a little bit later, but you guys, I definitely want to hear Greg's perspective on that story.
Golden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Duplicate what Greg did that day.
No.
Do not advise.
That would be. I'd love to hear Greg's side of things too. There, I've done that before. I will say, I remember specifically a flight. I was traveling for a lacrosse tournament, and it was early morning flight. Man, we felt like we had timed it out, and I can't remember if it was just like we just kind of miscalculated the time, but I just remember driving to the airport, like going so fast on the highway, and I just kind of look over at my dad like, are we going to be late? Like, are we going to miss this flight? and that was like running to the gate, right? Telling him to like stop, don't let the plane take off. But we made it. So I've been there before. Those are funny stories when you make the flight, and not so funny when you miss them. But Mark, I wanted to ask also how much. So we know about the scorekeeping, or the stat keeping. You're a guru there. I think everybody listening to this podcast probably knows about that at this point. But what other kind of physical labor are you involved in terms of prepping the field? Setting up, even at the meadows or tournament days. Just fill the listeners in on kind of like how you're involved there.
Okay.
I think the meadows is really the messy stuff, down and dirty.
Yeah. That's a good point. I want to make sure the field is, first of all, looks good. I mean, you go back to the very first year when it was all brown. I want to make sure it looks green. And then I want to make sure that it's safe as well. So if a fence post is loose or something, and then I want the surface to be, level as well. So if first base is washed out or the batter's box is a little rocky, and Kyle and I will work until it's satisfactory.
Picking dandelions.
Yes. So my first job,
Whip 'em.
my first job out there is to weed whack because I want to get that done before Kyle and the crew are doing the recordings because they don't want to be hearing the weed whacker. So, and then people want to show up early and start to practice as well. So I want to get that done early. Fortunately, clover are green, which makes the field look green. So I weed whack all the white little buds off them and dandelions, getting it as green as possible. But I'll set up the tents because people are starting to show up and they want shade. I'll bring some water out there. I'll bring the flag, put the flag up there, basically make sure and help Kyle with Kyle may need help with the mats or the bases, or he'll usually do the lines as well. And then I'll make sure the scoreboard is ready, get the chalk ready, make sure we have the towels ready, get the water ready, and then get ready for the scorebook. And then it's really nice is once I'm ready, the players are coming in. So I get a very good perspective of talking to the players because once the game starts, I really don't want to talk to the players because they're focused on the game. And then afterward, I just want to clean up and get out of there. I really don't want to. Everyone kind of just wants to get because at this point it's been 4 or 5 hours. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So for me, before the game, it's a really good perspective to talk to the players. And I get to talk to people like Grant and ask him how his daughter is. Get to talk to the Warda and the Russell and Rudy about their old football days, or Caden and Brendan Zerlich about golf. Tommy and the Lions, or Nick and Jimmy about Tigers baseball. So everyone has their passions, and it's just great to feed off and talk to them. Dallas will come out and his family will come out, and I'll talk to Jim Allen, Dallas's father. I talk to him about bowling. So it's just a great atmosphere out there. I just soak it in.
Jack, I think we could probably relate, us three as managers. When the small talk's kind of over when Mr. Schultz walks over with the book and he's like, all right, what's your lineup today? That's when you know it's time to lock in.
I was gonna say first of all, I feel like I've witnessed the like Mark sitting down in his chair and the feeling of all of the work, like the prep and everything, like it's all done and accomplished. And now it's like the stat keeping for him is obviously that to me, correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but that feels like the easy part, right? It's like, okay, now I just get to sit here and like that's the really fun part. Like you've been doing it, since you were younger, right? Just keeping stats for fun.
Yeah, you're right. The pregame is fun. I mean, other than the weed whacking, which is hot out there sometimes. We're trying to water the grass.
Yeah.
But once the game starts, Kyle's got me set up with quite a few jobs. Obviously, the scorebook. Everyone wants to know the score and the outs of the count. The big thing is fair and foul. So actually, I'm sitting on the foul line, the third base side. So, and if a lefty gets up, I'll walk over to their side because. Having been behind the microphone, it's very difficult sometimes for the person behind the camera to know fair or foul because it happens so fast. So you really have to be on the line. And even then it's, you're 95% sure you can never know exactly when the ball went around or didn't go around the pole. So I'll help with fair and foul. The bunt line has been a big help because there's now a physical line that you can see. That's been
when you think about it, it's kind of way overdue that we didn't have like a line down there or like a dashed line at least. We kind of just had like if it gets to the pitcher's mound, but I think when we put the turf in, we kind of had like a better spot to like how far in front of that we should put the line. So that definitely makes your job easier.
When the ball's in play, I'm looking. Kyle's busy or Jimmy are busy talking with the play-by-play. I'm looking for the fielder obstruction or runner interference. We've actually had that a few times. I want to make sure that the fielder had every opportunity to field the ball, or the runner, runner.
You're kind of like Gene Steratore in some ways.
Exactly.
The nitty gritty of the rule book.
Right. So these are rare occurrences that's what I'm really looking for when the ball's in play. The other ones that everyone chimes in are the play at the base, safer out, or check swing. And
Oh, the check swing.
Check swing's annoying.
I try to stay away from those. You guys have
No, yeah, I never give you that.
yeah.
I tell Jimmy this too, but just go on your instinct from behind home. But what will help sometimes is if we have an iPhone guy on first base, like doing the video cam over there, they have the best look at it. So sometimes if that's like Daniel or even somebody else, we've gone to other people before, but they have the best look. Most of the time, I'll just say it myself, what I think, but I'll go down to the first base sometimes.
Yeah, whenever I would call games, I would tell like someone, like, because it's just some random person, like not random, but it's like a Jimmy Norp or a Levi Fleer or somebody. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Can't have
please,
them decide
like,
it.
yeah, let me make the wrong call. Like, don't screw it up. And then I have
Sometimes-
conflicting.
Yeah.
Is like, let me just make a call, one voice. Yeah.
I
don't know.
I think I have a pretty good rate of getting them right, but like sometimes I'll go back and watch the video, and I'm like, I definitely should not have called it there.
That's part of the
But
game, man.
But that's literally maybe like only 2 or 3 times a year,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty good rate.
It's part of the game, and I think like doing in baseball, I mean, obviously people are going to make mistakes, right? Umps are going to make mistakes. That's part of the game, unless you want to just have robot umps, but that's no fun. So people are going to make mistakes, but the wiffle ball is so much harder to me because the bat literally has like flex in it. So
Yeah.
guys can like go to swing and they're like, you know, winding to swing so hard, and they do swing so hard that even when they check and probably don't go across to your eye, it just looks like they swung on it because the bat's literally flexing.
That's
So
the hardest part.
I think that's like actually the hardest call we have. And it's funny because Kyle, I feel like, tell me if you agree with this or not, but as the season goes on, it gets closer to the end, and then especially in the playoffs,
Oh, it's
like
everybody's
number
chiming
of
in.
check swings.
No, the
The
check
number
swings
of check, but
too.
the number of check swings goes up. So it's like the number of close calls you have to make also go up because every pitch is just like people are just that much more locked in. So
And for whatever reason, it's every single downtown Diamondback from the past 4 or 5 years. Every single one of them check
Yeah.
swings,
I can
dude.
remember-
It's so hard.
I don't remember what series it was, but I was calling a playoff series. Might have been Cats, D-backs. Who knows what it was? But like early in the game, one of the first check swing calls, like it was close, but like
Yeah.
the bat moved, so I called yes, and there was some kickback on it. And then the whole day, like if there was like any attempt at, I was consistent, just like
Yeah.
I'm gonna call you a swing.
Yeah, you got to call it both ways.
yeah,
So sometimes there's situations where we're really underhand with the cameraman and it's raining or very sunny.
Yeah.
Rain's tough.
So
So is sun when everything's overheating.
Yeah.
right. So I have to, work the camera, have the umbrella. and
Sometimes we
the-
just tape the umbrella to like a tripod.
the umbrella and the scorecard and the camera, watching the strikes. You're trying to do 3 jobs at once. But usually we get out of it. And during the season, it's not as intense. Sure, there's close plays, but yes, everything ratchets up in the playoffs. Gets more intense. But usually we have quite a few help on that.
Right.
Yeah. Rain, heat's tough, but rain I think is always harder or at least was harder for me. But
Real quick, this might be one of your questions, but what are some of your favorite moments from running like the merchandise tent at our tournaments and our series, just kind of greeting people at the door and seeing all the bright faces as they walk into an MLW event?
Well, it's a great honor to meet the people and to see people come back and back again. So really getting to meet a lot of the fans out there. They're so excited. I'm excited. They're a little nervous about wanting to play, but when they come back after meeting you guys and they got their shirts signed and their bat signed and their socks signed, I mean, they're just glowing. To them, it's like Christmas meeting you guys. And the mothers and grandmothers are all beaming with joy. And then from the business side, I also enjoy the playing cards, the trading cards.
yes.
So I get in that frenzy as well. I say, "Who do you got?" "Oh, you got a Tommy Coughlin. He's pretty good. He's right over there. I'll trade you. I'll give you a Jack Agner for a Tommy Coughlin." So
I have a sad story for you.
that's a good trade. That's
a good trade. So I enjoy getting first peek at the cards that they're getting, and I really want to help them out. If they have a lot of cards that there's nobody that's there at a tournament, let's say, I'll trade them cards that they can get signed so that they have a great experience as well.
We need to do our part in keeping that hobby alive within the youth of America.
I don't want to derail the interview. I need 30 seconds. That's it.
Yeah.
Want to hear a sad fact, fans at home?
Yep. You got
And-
25 seconds left.
In my new job, I've defaulted now. I introduce myself as just Coughlin. I don't even try to say Coughlin
What?
anymore. Everyone just says it wrong. It's so much
Oh,
easier for
dude.
everybody else,
Dude.
man. It's Coughlin now.
Gave in.
I gave in. But anyways,
I liked your story. When you
Back
met,
to the interview.
back to the
when you
interview.
met Tom Coughlin,
Yeah, I did. I met
remember
the coach's
that.
granddaughter. It was crazy.
That is a good story.
And again, same thing with them. He also gave in.
Same.
Because they pronounce it also
Stand
Coughlin.
on business.
Yeah, I gotta stand on business, I suppose. But tournaments are cool. I agree that what you just described is a cool way to put it. How when they come back to the tent, like after they've had their games, their stuff signed, they met all the guys. That's
It's
It's almost like some people are like
cool
second
feeling.
cousins. They see like once or twice a year. They
You're
talk
really good at
about
remembering
what
things,
has
which is a
changed in
good
their
quality.
lives. I usually like to remember names and faces and team names and like
It's just
how
hard.
far they went in the previous tournaments and stuff, and just hear about like their wiffle ball leagues and stuff that they have going on. So I love just checking in with everybody, see what's going on.
Yeah, I will say Kyle's pretty good at that.
And it's tough for the dads because the moms just want to make sure their kids are having fun, and the moms remember, they were talking about all night at the hotel and at the room and the night before.
The good times.
Yeah, they're so excited that their son is having fun. The dad wants to win the game, right? So the dad, the first game is out there trying to, position the kids and whatever. But, the kid bets 35 times in like the first game, so the dad's enthusiasm kind of wanes down and, is less vocal, let's say, as the tournament progresses and they see the kids having fun, figuring stuff out on their own. They're, they don't need the dad to tell them they're up.
It's a coming of age event.
Change pictures. It is. It is.
You often ump the little guys, like
yes, for that main reason.
8 to 10 or 10.
Yes, because of the dads.
How do you deal with a crying player after a loss or after a tough moment?
Like physically crying?
Yeah, like someone who actually cries. I've had criers.
You
at my
gotta be
games.
hands off there.
I
Yeah.
usually am pretty hands off, but
Yeah, hands off. I don't.
Let him deal with it.
I've got 14 more games to go. Yeah.
That's life.
I usually give them like a little pat on the back, maybe give them 10 seconds of my time, and then like usually at that point their parents have like come over to
Yeah.
scoop them.
Right. It changes quite a bit. Last year we had a kid. He got beamed in the mouth, and his like tooth was almost like falling out. So he's like bleeding.
Oh boy.
And
We do have a first aid kit on deck.
Yeah, I did help him to the bathroom, show him where the bathroom was, and his mother came down from the stands, and we held the game. And I mean, that was like he was.
The dads are also very interested in the
upset.
business aspect of it, and they're always like, "I got a turf facility in my hometown too. We can
Yes.
definitely have you guys out. We could do a little 12-team tournament."
Yeah,
Yeah.
every team
Yeah,
everyone wants to host.
there's dads that
It's flattering.
and then the dad's saying I'm doing everything. The dad thinks I'm designing
Mhm.
jerseys as my league, and oh no, I'm not creative at all. That's all
Not
Kyle.
creative at all.
We're like,
Not true.
Sure. Like no, Kyle. This is Kyle's league. He does the jerseys. He may ask my opinion, but he does the
Mhm.
league. He does the jerseys. He's got this is his business. I don't. I help him, but I'm not running things. So
We got that in 2010 and 11 when I make my YouTube videos, and people didn't think I like made them. They just thought it was all you
Those
Oh,
were really well edited videos back then too.
for an 11-year-old.
Speaking of jerseys, Mark, who do you think has the best uniforms in the league?
ooh, that is
And
What
why is it the Magic?
and why is it the Magic?
I think I know what he's gonna say.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Uh,
Well, I want your real opinion.
Well, I like the pinstripes of the Wildcats.
I got it. I knew he was gonna say that.
And of course the Eagles with the baby blue, like the Brewers, the old time Brewers.
He's being a homer.
Yeah. Of course, I like
Okay.
the Mallards as well with the green and white. That reminds me of some teams we used to play when we were kids.
The A's.
The A's. Yeah.
I like Cobra Whites. That's my current number one still.
Yep.
Um,
I like that one a lot too. Underrated. A lot of people did not like that scheme when it came out.
What?
The plain CC on the white.
That's the I love
Like
that jersey.
when we released those mock-ups, I was like, nobody was talking about those.
that was always my favorite. I
I
knew
put
it.
Drew on blast too. Drew, I don't think Drew liked him too, but then he got him in person. He liked him a lot.
Yeah, Drew,
Yeah.
you're right.
So-
you're wrong, Drew. Your opinion's wrong.
So-
Mine is right.
It wasn't even him too. It was like everybody.
So Jack, I guess it basically comes down to like the pinstripes. Like I never had pinstripes when I was a kid, but teams we played against, they were really good and they had pinstripes. So you always associate, pinstripe, they're a really good team. So,
That's funny.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's fair.
What about Mr. Schultz? I wanted to ask. I know you said you had a story you wanted to tell, but one more question. When you're sitting there and like there's some conflicts about check swings, the bunt line, whatever it may be, do you ever like think of anything that would be like a good maybe maybe not, but a rule change. Like, you ever bring ideas to Kyle about like maybe we should try
Yes.
this sometimes?
Yes, he shoots down my idea quite a bit.
That's
but,
okay.
the one that I have
Let's
is
get an example.
Do you have one right now you want to share?
yes. So
We'll share it, and if it wants to cut, we can cut it. But let's share it.
so the one that I think is let's say you're trying to get a guy out at third,
Mhm.
and you throw the ball, and he's safe or out, but the ball goes trickling away, maybe even out of bounds.
Okay.
To me, you're trying to get a guy out,
Mhm.
and in baseball, you'd assume that the guy caught it.
Mhm.
But to the runners, it's a loose ball, and we're running around the
Mhm.
bases. So to me, it should be contained a little bit more that the ball is dead,
Mhm.
or at least some
So-
limitation.
And in my
do you have a
defense,
structure?
I'm trying to promote scoring and playing clean in the field.
Yes.
Yeah, it's tough. I guess you have to figure out how you want to define that. Is like a peg attempt a dead ball? Could it be abused? Could you just try to peg someone?
Yes,
Like, that could be a
that's
dead
actually
ball.
why it is. I've given you that explanation before, but it's like, say it's first and third, hard hit ball to one of the fielders, and they just peg a guy really quick or just get it out.
Yeah.
Dead ball, runner doesn't score. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, it just has to be a live ball.
I like debating rules. It's fun.
Yeah.
We could have that different podcast.
And I think
Rule
that's where
debates.
I checkmated you.
Checkmate. Wow. Checkmated.
Yeah. If I'm a player, I would still be disappointed if I.
Our guys are smart in this league. The minute we do that, Drew would abuse that rule. Drew's so good at finding loopholes.
I look at Jimmy for exploitation.
Jimmy he'd do this, and I don't blame him. That'd be smart wiffle ball. But I'm just saying, if you have a rule like that, it'd be exploited.
Yeah.
I mean, every rule if you can exploit a rule, why wouldn't you exploit it?
If you can kill a play, I mean, that's what it is. It would
Yeah.
just kill a play to limit runners. I mean, you just got to have that ball be live.
Mm-hmm. I like guys in like the NFL that like not exploit, but like some players know like the rules of like football better than others because there's some weird rules in the NFL.
I know. I just watched like a compilation of it was like 7 minutes of NFL plays that are now banned. And there was one where like a punter just kind of like ran back 30 yards and ran out of the end zone. Everybody on the team is holding. They just need to
Exactly.
they
That's what
needed
I'm
to
saying.
burn
That's
like
smart.
25 seconds, and
Yeah,
they
that's
did,
smart.
and the game ended.
Mhm.
Smart.
They banned that like right away.
Yeah.
And there's like a whole 5-minute video
I like that,
compilation
though,
of
'cause there's
plays
some
like that.
coach that like figured this out
Yeah.
and like said like we need to do this and there's no way that
I
NFL
think
can stop us.
I think Belichick, there was something about the clock not stopping, and they killed like 7 minutes off the clock because they just kept taking it was on a punt. They just like kept going back and forth or
Well, I was
something.
like, how about the Eagles Commanders game when the refs like we're gonna give them points if you keep jumping off sides.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I have never heard that.
Dan Lanning, Oregon against Ohio State, where they purposely put like 12 guys on the field and it didn't actually end up hurting them, and they stopped the play.
That was super smart.
And there was
That
no
super
runoff
smart.
or something
Yeah.
like that, or there was, I don't know.
That was this year.
Yeah, it
That
worked
was
in Dan
super
Lanning's
smart.
favor, and then a week later they changed the rule.
Yeah, that was really smart.
Yep. I
I
don't
like
blame
stuff
him
like
for
that.
exploiting loopholes.
No, I like that some coach again was like studied this and then like had to present like this is
Exactly.
it's foolproof
Exactly.
and then actually execute it in the game. It's cool. All right, Mr. Schultz, last night at the Super Bowl party, Eagles fans, congratulations. Philly fans, congratulations. Chiefs fans, sorry, not sorry. But you said you had a story you wanted to tell with football related on the pod.
Okay.
So I want to give you the floor here to tell your story. He hinted at what it was. I think I know what it is, but it's a good story if it is what I think it is.
Well, first shout out to your folks, Tom and Denise, for putting on a great party. Always the best party of the year. Great food, great folks.
Mm-hmm.
But my one story is this goes back a couple of years now. Kyle and Tommy had a meeting with Major League Baseball, and they wanted a room that had a door, good sound, good Wi-Fi, good lighting. I said, well, that sounds like the den, so I'll give up.
And this was before we had this house.
Correct.
This was
Right.
back at my childhood home, your house.
Right. So I said, I'll go work in the basement. You guys can have the den. So I go downstairs and I hear Tommy come over, and they're in the den. So the den is off the door. So it's the den, the doorway, and then a stairways that lead upstairs. And there's a glass window there. And on that glass window are several decorations, like glass decorations of small birds, blue jays, cardinals, facing same side as the door. And then, of course, the stairs down to the basement. So I'm downstairs, and I can hear them talking up there. And then while I'm sitting down there doing some work, there's also a bird feeder outside the window, and there's no birds. But what there was on the split rail fence was a hawk, which I later learned was a Cooper's hawk.
Cooper's hawk.
And it had
PB, pop up a picture of this thing.
yeah, it had some
talons,
some talons,
some claws.
Dang.
yes, yellow, very sharp. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that. I'd never seen that. We've lived there for many years, never seen that. So I went back to work, didn't think much about it. And then now it's like 40 minutes into your call. And all of a sudden I start hearing this thrashing going on, like almost like the chair, like you guys were like throwing my chair around or something, like high five and like.
We're getting excited.
I'm like,
great meeting.
Yeah, they must be excited.
Steel struck.
Yeah, they must be excited. So I walk up the stairs and I start to hear it again. I'm like, okay, that's strange. And then so I open the door and I step into the hallway and I look straight down to the den. They're still going at it. The door's closed, the lights on. You guys are deep conversation with MLB. You're locked in. Like, strange. What's making all the noise? If they're still in the call, they're not calling somebody else. And then I take one more step to my right, and there is that Cooper's hawk in the window, gnawing at those glass.
But in the house, right?
In the house.
In the house is the key part of the story.
In the house. So the goal of the whole thing was to be quiet for these guys. And here I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to be.
We have no idea this is going on, by the way. Not a clue.
Not a clue. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
And I'm thinking, we don't know what happened, but I feel like I had to have been the one to leave the door cracked open. I don't know. But I'm the one who came over.
What was it? How did he get in?
We don't know. It
had to have been the door cracked open.
So when Tommy came in, you guys collectively did not close or lock the door. You probably shut the door, but it blew open. And when it blew open, this hawk saw those birds in the window and must have flew into the house.
There's no Ring footage of this?
No.
Oh my God.
No
The price that I would have paid.
Right. So I'm thinking, what a complete failure. I think, now it's going to be so mad at me. This is like a bunch of goobers here with a bird flying around.
A hawk, not a bird. A big bird.
I'm thinking it's going to fly around into the vaulted ceiling. This is going to be a nightmare. I'm going to be chasing around the house. And
to be honest, if I saw that happening, I would not pay that any mind. I'd be locked into the call like nothing was going on.
It's out of a movie. You're in an important
It's
call.
literally like
dad is chasing around a hawk.
a cartoon.
Yeah, that could have probably did some damage to walls, ceilings.
Right. So I'm panicking. I'm thinking, okay, my first thought was run to the garage. Let's find something, a net, maybe a fishing net or a butterfly net, any kind of net. And I get to the garage, I'm like, and then it dawned on me. Then I had been watching the show called Dr. Pol, and he's a veterinarian. And he and his brother, him and his son, had to capture a bunch of exotic birds from this property to transport them. And Dr. Pol would kind of distract them while the son would come behind and throw a blanket on top of the bird. And the bird would immediately do nothing, wouldn't panic, wouldn't fly, would do nothing.
How many minutes in real time did you have to
all in 30 seconds? This was like
his mind's racing.
Come up the stairs. You see the guys like, oh my gosh, I'm literally panicking at this point. So I go back up. There was a blanket right on the couch. I grab the blanket, and I'm walking up the stairs, and there's a sewing machine in front of the window, so it's kind of blocking the window.
Oh, that's right.
So the hawk is just a little bit below so I'm wondering if it's going to go below it or something like that. I'm like, I don't know. This thing sees me. What's it going to do? So I go up the stairs, and did
you creep up the stairs?
I tried
real quietly.
Yes, and it was busy gnawing at that glass that it didn't see me at all. I mean, it doesn't have eyes in the back of its head. And I took the blanket, I flung the blanket on it, and it just stopped. It didn't do anything. So I'm like, okay, well, hopefully it doesn't like slide down and try to escape below. So then I grabbed it, and I didn't want to squish it. And I have a dead falcon on my hand, so I grabbed it, and then I go down the stairs. And then this is where I swear I looked in the den, and I think one of you two like looked up at this point and saw me, probably like, what the heck is going on? But I just ran to the door. The door was was like 3/4 of the way open. Just walked out the door and just opened the blanket, and the bird just flew away.
He flew outwards.
I'm like,
oh my God.
I didn't hear anything. Did you hear the bird hitting the window?
I heard nothing.
I heard nothing.
It was 4 years ago now, but I remember seeing your dad. Okay, yeah, it's crazy. I remember like seeing your dad maybe walk past once, but again, we were focused on other things, so I don't. It was all just like after the call, he's like, "Did you hear me?" We're like, "No, what do you mean?" And then he told the story. We're like, "What?"
Yeah. I was like, "What do you mean?"
So to make it even more funnier, I was telling my wife Sheila the story just yesterday, and what happens to show up at our bird feeder? Another Cooper's hawk that has not returned since that day. It showed up looking at our feeder again yesterday.
They wanted you to tell the story
It's
today.
probably just this time of year because it was like the time of year that.
Oh, was it?
It was
It was
like-
around this January. I think.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Okay, looking for food. So it just happened to show up. I'm like, well, I'm going to be telling the story tomorrow. So
Goodness.
Was there any damage to the glass, like scratched up at all, or?
No.
That is so lucky.
Can I tell you what I would have done?
What?
I would have just waited out our call and just like dealt with it when the call was done.
That's your house, though. That thing could have tore that house up.
No
But it was
way.
just chilling there, right?
It was going to move on. It was going to start flying around the house looking for a way
Jack,
out.
you're a homeowner. What would you have done?
Yeah, Jack, need some help here.
I tell you what, that 30-second thought process that Mark went through sounds like he just channeled his inner like Slumdog Millionaire
Yeah.
and just like instantly thought of that, and that's incredible. I probably would have panicked, maybe screamed a little bit. I don't know. I honestly I don't know. I don't know if I would have the gall to throw a blanket over that thing and I mean, I wasn't watching Dr. Pol, so I didn't know that would work. I would think that if you threw a blanket on it, it'd probably freak out.
Yeah.
I thought you might just like get some bread and just like kind of lead some
I'd be
breadcrumbs.
I'd be scared the thing would fly at me and
Just
swallow
throw the
my
bread
eyes out.
outside. That kind of just like bait them.
Jack mentioned scream. I that was my first reaction, was to like scream and make a sound, but I was so obsessed with not interrupting your call with Major League Baseball. I didn't want to.
You were like freaking when our
I'm
call
trying to
ended.
think.
You freaked out. I was like, "What are you talking
I didn't
about?"
want to ruin the call.
That is a straight up cartoon.
I think-
That is literally
Can we get
a
an animator
cartoon.
out there
I'm
to
trying
animate that?
I'm trying to think what I would do, like in my 30-second brain. I feel like I would go for like a laundry basket and try to trap it.
That's
Like,
dangerous.
Trap the thing against the glass, and then maybe call for help. I don't know what I would do.
We're lucky you didn't screech like a hawk screech.
Yeah, I don't know. Would have been a good story for MLB. There was a hawk in the house. I'd be like, what?
Yeah, dude.
That's a good story. I like it. Jack, you got anything else here? We're closing out an hour.
I guess I gotta selfishly ask Mark, speaking of homes and just things going on in your home, do you have any advice for me as a homeowner? A homeowner, and also any advice as a parent?
Yeah, new father.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's start with the house first. Yes, I love your stories. I too had the same inexperience that you had. I would call my father, first apartment, the toilet won't flush,
I got that problem all the time.
So, I would always reach out to my father, and it's eventually like, okay, I'm gonna start fixing this myself. The cars were breaking down or needed something. So we would talk about things and plan them out, but eventually start to, you don't need to call someone. You guys have YouTube as well, which is also very helpful.
Mhm.
Yep.
But yes, you'll slowly gain the experience and start to know how all the systems work and what to look for, what to pay and not to pay for.
Mhm.
The childhood, I just saw one of my favorite comedians is Jim Gaffigan. He was talking about he's on a special as well, and talking about his parenting skills. One of his comments was, for 13 years, Jack, you'll think you're a great parent. And then when your teenager turns, the hormones turn on, you'll realize that they think you're pretty horrible, that you're doing a horrible job. So you've got that to look forward to, but
That's
Okay.
yeah, but there's no directions, no directions on the kids. I learned a lot from my father, and things to do and things not to do, and sometimes staying away from what not to do is also pretty learning, insightful.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like we all
Awesome.
probably have things that we don't love that our parents would do, but then you think it's like, oh, we turned out all right. So maybe they were doing the right things after all.
Yeah, you're doing a fine job. You weren't getting any complaints from me. I don't know if that's Daniel or Brendan more so, but I give you a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, you had some great opportunities that I didn't have. Like there was no sports management in my future. I would have loved to have done that as a college curriculum. That just made, you had probably had to do sports announcing, I guess, or, radio communication,
Journalism.
Mhm.
journalism. So there's quite a few more doors open to you guys in terms of the technologies, what you guys want to get into.
That's cool.
So
Cool. Round of applause.
What an
What
episode.
an episode.
Can I just say, I think this
Right on.
might be one of my favorite episodes
This
ever.
was my favorite one we've done probably this offseason.
The most
Easily.
smooth flowing convo.
This is
good stories,
I
good
think, well,
insight,
you being
advice.
here actually helped a lot because you approach things from a different way than I would have.
Yeah, I had to provide structure.
Yeah. Well, not even structure, just like questions about like youth sports. Like that stuff's fun.
Oh yeah,
Not just with football questions.
Yeah.
I think we got a good balance of
dude.
like,
We had to get this chair some burn.
We
It's
did.
just been sitting over here.
free chair.
Get these frames some looks in the cameras.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, Mr.
Oh,
Schultz,
nice.
coming
Oh.
on.
Yes,
Uh,
thank you.
Thanks for making some time on your Monday evening. So the next goal, Jack, we got to get Mr. Cratched and get the dynamic duo together. Get the band together on the pod.
Yep.
Mr. Cratch can have my chair. Mr.
Me and
Schultz
Tommy
there.
can just duo sit over
I'll
here.
just I'll bring a bag of popcorn, throw it in the microwave, and
Yeah.
just enjoy. I think that's what
I think that'd be really
next.
funny if like we said, like
I'm
if we
down- I'm
planned
down
like,
for that.
They're just riffing back and forth.
Well, I think if we gave them like 2 weeks to prepare, they made some topics they want to talk about. I think it could be great.
I think it really
Look how many
could.
notes he had just today, being the guest. Imagine they were hosting. I think they would come up with something really
They would
funny to
show
talk
us up
about it.
in terms of the view counts.
Probably. So, well, Mr. Schultz, we appreciate it. A lot of fun today. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you guys thought. If you want to see the Greg and Mark episode, any other MLW parents or characters that you want to see on the pod, maybe Swamp Man. Run it back with Swamp Man.
Honestly, that'd be really good.
I think it's funny because like if you said that on the main channel, I feel like you wouldn't get a lot of love for it. But on the pod, I feel like everyone knows who like all the
Yeah.
characters are. over
And
the
it's
years.
funny because he made like 2 appearances in the videos.
These are the diehards.
But I think what does the all fun game appearance revamped his
His
image.
brand.
Yeah,
brand.
that was huge for him.
Oh, what a guy. So
Also, there's a league announcement happening this week.
Yes.
It might be posted before this episode comes out, but we want to have the full chance to talk about it, so we might do that next week.
we will do that next week.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
announced.
So I think the podcast comes out Wednesday. We might post about this on Tuesday. This new change. So
Next week.
peep Instagram if you haven't already when you're listening to this.
We'll do. I'm excited for everyone to hear about that. We'll talk about it next week, and then we'll try to get Greg on in the near future. But sound off in the comments. Let us know what you guys want to see. And thanks for tuning in. See you all next Wednesday.
Pipe it up, pipe it up, pipe it up, pipe it up, pipe it up.